Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Prince George's African American Museum and Cultural Center. My name is Jessica Hebron. I'm the Interim Executive Director here at our marvelous museum, and we would like to welcome you to a place where we are celebrating all the things that we love about Prince George's County. Today, I have an amazing guest. We have Delegate Julian Ivey, who has many things to share. Yes, wave to the people. Who has many things to share about why he loves Prince George's County. Delegate Julian Ivey was born in Prince George's County, born and raised in Cheverly, and he graduated from all Prince George's County public schools, starting with graduating from Eleanor Roosevelt High School in 2013, and now is a super student at the University of Maryland, pursuing a degree that is close to my heart, African American history. We always need more males in the African American history field. And so he served on the Cheverly Town Council for one term and is currently a member of the Maryland House of Delegates, representing District 47A. One thing that I think makes him also super cool, a really cool fun fact, is that we have a Broadway star in our museum now, in our in our county.
Right.
Delegate Julian Ivey was Simba on Broadway's The Lion King. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about the work he does, about all of his talents, and some of the revolutions that he's leading within our county. Welcome to Delegate Ivey. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Ms. Jessica, for having me on. For all the work that the museum does here in Prince George's. History is such an important fact of life. We need to make sure that we preserve what has happened here in this county, what happened to create this county, so that the next generations, future generations, have access to that information as well. There's just so many really wonderful people that have come from Prince George's County. We see them in so many different industries, and I'm just so happy to be here today being interviewed by you. So thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's get started. My first question for you is, how did you come to Prince George's County?
Well, I was born in Prince George's County in Cheverly, but I was not born at the hospital. I was born in the house on the street that I still live on today, in my parents' house, which is very unusual. But I was born at home. My two younger brothers were also born at home. We've all gone through the public schools here in Prince George's, and it's just a wonderful place to call home.
I think that's really cool. In fact, you actually had an article that came out about your birth, right? Is that true?
No, you see, there are so many of us. I've got four brothers and a sister. The youngest of us all, he was actually born during the 2000 blizzard. So, he was born at home in a blizzard. So the Post did a story about it. So that was a really awesome moment for him. And I actually like him too, so that's a good thing as well.
Well, I think that makes it really cool that you guys are products of home birth, because especially right now where everyone's in this pandemic, there are a lot of things that are being brought back home that originally started home, from now homeschooling, and now, home births are something that are very important, because the hospitals are overloaded, and you're hearing a lot of people talking about the fact that home birth is an option for Black families and many other families, to create a more intimate, meaningful, and safe experience.
And just to add on to that, I know it's a little off topic here, but
it's not off topic.
Black women, are often not believed when they're in the hospital. They're not listened to when they're telling them, the doctors, some of the symptoms that they're experiencing. And so, part of the reason why I was born at home is because doctors weren't listening to my mother. They weren't believing what she was saying. She had two children in a hospital, and it just wasn't the way that she wanted to continue having children. So I just want to highlight, the mortality rate for Black mothers is a lot higher than it should be. So use every resource that you have at your disposal to have a safe a safe birth, because that's the most important thing. It's a little unorthodox to have a home birth. Maybe that's not the way that you want to go about it, but make sure that the doctors that are surrounding you when you are about to give birth are really there for you, that they value you, and that they believe the words that are coming from your mouth. So.
Well, I'll tell you, I believe in home birth. And when that time comes, that's something that I'm actually going to pursue. So I believe in that. And I think that's wonderful to actually meet somebody that has experienced a home birth. Well, you're a product of a home birth. So
I came out all right.
I know you didn't have to do anything to make it happen, but it's just great to know someone. You just had
It
to
was
come
my
out.
choice. I said, Mom, I'm being born at home. All right.
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 So, okay. So the next thing is I want you to show and tell. I want you to, you have this beautiful picture of your family. Tell us about why this reminds you of your personal connection to Prince George's County.
Yeah, I'm a corny guy. My brothers, my sister, they're just so close to me, my parents as well. And so when you're a part of a big family, like I am, they really are very significant to you. Of course, family is always significant, but, just a Black family here in Prince George's that have the experiences that we've got. And I just love them to death. And my little brothers are so awesome to see them now, both of them taller than me, both in better shape than I am. Both of them holding me accountable for some of the ways I treated them when we were younger. Just overall, I just love them to death. And when you ask me about something that I hold near and dear to my heart, I didn't know what else to bring up other than them. All the adversity that I've gone through in life, a lot of great things have happened, but it hasn't all been great. My family's been right there every step of the way to really help number my steps, and be there when you take up some big battles and you're not 100% sure if it's the right thing, to have them there, encouraging me to continue on. I don't even know how to describe it. So I'm just grateful.
That's wonderful. And you do come from a very royal family. And so I'm glad to know I can feel the love in the picture. And I know that you guys will continue to carry on a strong, proud legacy of being revolutionaries and fighting for what's right within. And that's what this whole thing is about, having pride of place and making sure that you love where you live, and that you show that, and that you lead where you live. Not just having pride of place, but that you actually lead where you live. And that's what you're doing. So next question for you is, I want you to envision the future of Prince George's County 20 years from now. What does it look like?
Well, if we were to take a step back and look at, what did Prince George's look like 20 years ago, right? What was the home ownership rates like 20 years ago? What were our school systems capable of doing? What were the limitations that we had 20 years ago? And then fast forward to where we are now. I just went back last year to visit my old elementary and middle school. And the building, it needs very significant repairs. And they keep putting, additional, what are they, the temporary buildings? They keep building more of those. But what's clear is that, we need more resources here in the county. And I know people always talk about it, but our schools are underfunded, whether we're talking about the physical buildings themselves or the resources that are available inside of the buildings. We also have a housing crisis taking place right now because we're in the COVID crisis as well.
Right.
So we have to look back at the housing crisis that we were in, 11 years ago, and the 2009 housing crash, where foreclosures were the big issue then. Now evictions are the big issue. So as we look 20 years down the line, it's my hope that right now, here in this moment, we can keep people in their homes. We can keep, our individuals working. One big issue that we have right now is that there are people who have always paid their rent on time. They paid every bill on time. And then the COVID crisis hit and they lost their income. And now they can't pay their rent. And now they're being evicted because there are loopholes in the protections that the governor put in place for renters. And so what we're saying is Prince George's, getting hit harder than most regions across the state. Baltimore City is also in a very similar position. And so it's really unfortunate because we're seeing the same crisis that we just got out of play itself out again with a slightly different iteration. And so in 20 years, it's my hope that we get it right now, so that 20 years from now, we have more Black-owned businesses. We have more Black-owned real estate, because that's something, again, that we don't talk too much about. We've got a small handful of corporations that own the mass majority of housing options here in the county. When you're talking about apartment complexes and condos, things of that nature. So in 20 years, I hope our schools are fully funded and that we exceed that baseline of just being fully funded. Let's overfund our schools, right? They've been so underfunded for so long. Let's over invest in our children, right?
I like that.
Yeah, like let's do away with this social safety net and just raise the floor for what it is to be a Prince Georgian. Like a net, you can so easily just cut a net, right? Let's raise the foundation for Prince Georgians, and also for Marylanders across the board. But so, 20 years from now, I hope that we have more people owning property, owning the home that they live in, owning the business that they work at, and so on and so forth.
I name and claim that. That's really powerful. And I love what you said about over investing in our children, not just investing, and not even doing it just as an afterthought when something gets really, really bad, but making that, truly children first, and that they're not an afterthought, that only when something bad happens do we hear about it, but that we're focusing on making them, because, like they say, the children are the future, and but that doesn't start when they get older. It starts when they're when they're babies and preschool, things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So I love that. That's your hashtag. Let's over. I think you can run a full campaign just on that, and I would support it.
My Republican colleagues would be rolling their eyes, but that's just what it has to be.
Let them roll.
Let them roll.
So my other question for you about these evictions is, can you tell me about some of I know that you have been doing so much work to help people who are experiencing evictions during this pandemic within the county. Can you tell me some personal stories about some things that you've experienced, and what are you doing to help these people?
Well, during the tropical storm that passed by maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, there was a photo that went around of someone being evicted before the storm, right? And so in the photo, and I can send you the photo separately.
Okay, cool.
There are children's toys in the photo, and so the information that I received was that it was a grandmother whose grandchildren were living with her. And they were evicted during a global pandemic, right before a tropical storm. And so you see the lack of humanity right now here in the state of Maryland. We're the wealthiest nation and wealthiest state in the nation per capita for our size. And yet here we have individuals being treated as if they're subhuman. During a global pandemic, we know that we need people to be socially distancing. The only way that you can do that is if you have some place to do that in.
To social distance in.
All right, exactly. So, so many individuals have been reaching out. We've had illegal evictions being threatened. 2 of those in my district specifically, one in Chillum, one in Mount Rainier. Both of them were stopped because we had just large groups of protesters show up and shame those property owners. And by the way, I was able to look inside some of those facilities. One of them specifically, they need the health department and different inspectors going in to make sure that building's up to code, because it didn't look like it to me. But so we just I've seen the worst of the state in the last 2 months, really. And I've seen people grow more and more, just unsure about what the next step is. And, everybody wants to do right by themselves, by their children. And when you're not allowed to go to work because we close your business and we did close a lot of businesses across the state. What else are you supposed to do? Are you going to pay your rent, or are you going to put food on the table? And that's really the choice that people have been given. So actually, yesterday was the day that the moratorium expired here in the state of Maryland. Evictions, right? And so what that means now, the governor will say that there's still protections in place, and let me explain that. While we're still under a state of emergency, which we are currently, if you receive an eviction notice from your landowner or the property owner, etc. And by the way, if you receive a formal eviction notice from the courts, right, that's how you know it's a legal eviction proceeding that they're looking to go forward with. But if you can prove that because of COVID-19 you lost income, then you have an affirmative defense in court at your eviction hearing. So you still have to go to court. And if you're in court and you can prove that you lost income due to COVID-19, you can use that as an affirmative defense with the judge. And that is how the governor, at least, is claiming that you still have protections against evictions. So 96% of property owners have legal representation when they're going in for evictions hearings. Around 1% of tenants have representation as well. So go to marylandlab.org. It's a great resource for individuals who are facing eviction. Please go there. They're going to be able to provide you with different resources to help you be ready when you do have to go to court. But if you receive an eviction notice, don't just give up. There are some options. There are some protections in place, but there are also some massive loopholes. So you have to be able to prove that you lost income due to COVID-19. That's the very difficult thing to prove. But keep fighting. Reach out to me as well, and I'll do everything that I can to help you out.
And you see, Delegate Julian Ivey is someone who I love the fact that even though he has this title, he's still easily accessible. He's for the people. And that is the type of leader that we need within our county, type of leadership we need with all of our leaders. And I can say that many of our leaders have that same spirit. I love your fire. I love how you are not afraid to fight. Like the fact that you actually went inside of the building, like thinking, okay, you guys are putting these people out the building. They shouldn't even be in this building anyway because it's not up to code. They deserve better quality living facilities for the rent that we have to pay within the county, which is pretty high compared to other neighboring counties. I wonder. I can't wait to hear more about what's going to happen with these evictions, because it's really, really not fair, especially being that we're in a pandemic. And I'm really thankful for all the great work that you've been doing. So, one time when I was driving through the county, I can't remember which city or municipality it was, but it says, "Welcome to Prince George's County, a livable community." And my friends and I, when we would drive past that, we would be like, it's livable?
Right.
What does that mean? Like, you can live in a bucket, but we want to be more than a livable community, and we are more than a livable community.
Absolutely.
But like you said, I think, like you're saying, it's time for us to over-invest, to overachieve, so that we can truly say that what the money, people always talk about how much money is in this county, that is evenly distributed.
Fair. Absolutely. And this is something that it really just describes who I am. And let me explain that. So by setting the bar at livable community, that means, hey, if we can just reach this bar, then we're good, and we don't have to strive for anything more. But we have so much promise here in Prince George's. I mean, I could talk to you about the different pools of talent that we have. I mean, you go to our churches, we got the best choirs in the nation in our mega churches. Go to our public schools, you got some of the best minds in the nation as well. We have so many people going to Ivy League institutions, and we don't talk about that here in Prince George's. You want to go? We have a documentary about how well we do in sports as well.
Exactly.
But so we just need to be raising the bar. When I was a lot younger, when I was 4, that's when I started out acting. And you mentioned, my theater pursuits when I was younger. The way I got to Broadway was first, I started out at a local theater production here in Prince George's, right at the Public Playhouse, right off 202.
Yeah.
And, one of the little girls in the show, she had an agent. And honestly, I felt like I was better than she was. And so I told my mom, I said, hey, she's got an agent. She's going on auditions. I should have an agent, right? And that standard that I set for myself was higher than just, hey, I enjoy this. I could just keep doing this theater. I said, hey, someone else is doing that. I want to do that, right? Other jurisdictions in the nation have public schools that, are doing better than ours are, right? They have housing systems that are more favorable for the people within that jurisdiction than we do specifically. One of those apartment complexes that were having the illegal evictions, the owner of the property was there. And as we were shaming him out, I got a look at his license plate, and it was a Virginia license plate.
Wow.
And, if we had Prince Georgians owning these apartment complexes, I think that they would be a little more willing to adequately invest or overinvest in their properties because they actually care about the community and they're a part of the community. Right.
Yeah, that's one of those questions like saying, well, would you live here? And that's why, I agree with you there, because when I was growing up, you went to public schools, I went to public schools, and my parents, they could have afforded to put me in private schools, but my dad was a Prince George's County principal for many years. And he said, he wanted to invest in the school system that he was promoting as being a quality school system. And so that meant making sure that, okay, if he's working here at this school system, he's going to make sure that his children are going there too. And some people would say, well, why are you doing that? You could afford something better. And it's like, no, this is better. And I'm going to work with the PTA and work with my child's teachers and work with whatever they need as a parent to make sure that the children can have better. And I saw my experience in all of the schools, and I was in, in the arts too, and performing arts schools. It was great because my parents invested in the schools that I went to. They didn't just continue to send me outside of our county. And you're right. I think that, very similar to you, being a product of Prince George's County is something that I'm extremely proud of. Like during election time, where else are you going to see all of these politicians running for office and they all look like you? You can't get that anywhere else. I mean, maybe you can, but you can't get that anywhere else around here. And I haven't seen it, and I've lived in other places. And so
and also the amount of resources that we do have in this county. Often we talk about what we don't have, but this is the most affluent African American county in the nation. And so, we also have a responsibility to show other jurisdictions what it looks like to be Black, excellent, and governing. And so, it's something that I think we still have to do a little bit of work on. I think that slogan is not that. I think that's an old slogan, but it's still on the signs. But we're moving forward. We're moving forward. And I think we're going in the right direction.
But it was just always a joke between us. Okay, so speaking of all the things you love about Prince George's County, my question for you is, where is your favorite place in Prince George's County?
That was a really tough question for me because, I don't really know, right? I mean, I could say it's my mama's house because she's gonna be watching this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what she wants to hear. I could say it's the local pool that I went to growing up. I could say so many different places, but one thing that we do need to work on as a county is having more centralized locations for individuals to congregate at. I know right now we're going through a pandemic, but really encouraging individuals to go and meet in public as we move forward. I think it's important. And we have some investments coming that would do just that. You're seeing the downtown Largo starting to pop up, the new hospitals coming up as well. So, I have so many great memories about Prince George's just in general, been in so many different friends' homes and, different parks, places of that nature. But, when people ask me my favorite place to be, I tell them Prince George's in general.
I love that. Yay.
Yeah. But, you ask me about a specific place. I mean, if I say the Bladensburg waterfront part, the other parts of my district, they're going to get upset because,
Okay.
Right. There's some politics there, but I just love Prince George's. I love that the people look like me. I mean, the majority of the people look like me. And, it's something to not take for granted because I went to the University of Maryland as well. And I met so many African Americans, who are students my age, and they're not from Prince George's and haven't been surrounded by so many Black people who are doing well, and of course not everyone is, but, oftentimes Black people get this rep of being, all in one position, all in one, community. And we are one community, but we have different experiences as well. And to be able to experience that is just so important for me. That's why I want to raise my kids here when I have them in a long time down the road. But that they be raised here in Prince George's as well.
You know what? I agree. It's only when I left Prince George's County and came back that I realized how much my upbringing here meant to me. See, when I was growing up, I took it for granted because it was just the norm. But when you leave and you come back and you see how much confidence, and I think that's something, how much confidence it gives you to be raised in a place that is governed primarily by African Americans and doing all amazing things. It's just Black excellence at every corner.
Right.
That does something to you. It does. And it's not cockiness, but I will say that it totally is confidence because because you're always seeing people achieving and good people too, So
they could put that on the screen more often,
Yeah.
Like we just lost Chad Boseman, right? And he's so significant for so many different reasons, but also just the pride that he instilled in us as Black people. I mean, you see the children, of course, seeing a Black superhero that looks like them, but myself, I'm an adult, and that impacted me in a huge way. My youngest brother, he's an adult now. He's about to turn 21, and he was affected by this loss as well. So representation matters on the screen. Black people, we have different experiences, and we should be able to see the breadth of those experiences as well on the screen. Right.
Okay, so yes, and a total rest in peace rest in Wakanda power.
Right, exactly.
To Chadwick Boseman, our Black Panther forever. We were trying to explain to some children this weekend that Black Panther didn't die; he lives on.
Right.
Our late Chadwick Boseman has gone on to the ancestors, that he still lives on as an ancestor.
Right.
And I'm so saddened that he has left us, but his strength and all of the amazing African Americans that he was able to play to keep their story going on forever and forever, he's with us forever.
Absolutely.
So the next thing, my last question for you, my final question is, I want you to summarize Prince George's County in 3 words. Pick 3 words that represent our county, and we're going to that represent our county, and we're going to turn those into an affirmation. So what 3 words would you pick?
I would say we're proud.
Okay.
We're excellent. And we're enough. I know that sounds weird.
I love that.
Sometimes it's like, if only we could do this better, if only we could do that. But just take a step back and really just revel in this really unique place that we live in. Prince George's, if you look at the history, slaves lived here. people were enslaved, the whole nation, the history of this nation, so on and so forth. And yet still here we are, in spite of all of those circumstances, the wealthiest, predominantly African-American community in the nation right here. Mm-hmm. And it's not something to take for granted. Yeah. So even though we need to do better in different things, we have some work to do here and there. Even where we are right now, we are enough. And we should be proud.
Love that. So let's say that together. And to the audience that is listening to this broadcast, I want you guys to say this with us. So I want you to repeat after Delegate Ivey. We're going to start with the first one, and I'm going to repeat after you. These are your affirmations, because we are affirming what we want Prince George's County to be today and 20 years from now and forever. So I'm going to repeat these individual affirmations after you. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we are proud.
We are proud.
We are excellent.
We are excellent.
We are enough.
We are enough. Man, yes. I totally agree. We are totally Prince George's proud. Absolutely. And I want to thank you so much, Delegate Ivey, for taking the time to share with us all of the things that you love about Prince George's County. You educated us, you inspired us, and we have some homework to do. So please remember, if you are experiencing any evictions within the county, you should visit www.mdlab.org. You can also reach out to Delegate Ivey, and he will make sure that he gets in contact with you. So we thank you guys so much, and we want you to continue to stay Prince George's proud. Stay tuned for another virtual program by visiting www.pgaamcc.org. See you guys next time, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.